Hello everyone. Today, I'll continue sharing the story of the single mother, Tuna. I hope you enjoy this video. After countless hard days and sleepless nights filled with worries, tears, and even despair, Tuna and Alex have finally reached a peaceful shore. They went through storms together, facing doubt, gossip, and challenges that seemed unbearable. Yet, like sunlight after a long storm, happiness has finally smiled upon them. Alex's mother, once strict and fearful that her son would suffer by loving a woman with a painful past, has now changed. She no longer sees Tuna merely as the devoted mother of little Henry, but as a strong, kind, and sincere woman who truly loves Alex. Even Alex's sister, who once kept her distance out of concern that Tuna's past would bring trouble, has begun to open her heart. She now understands that her brother's love isn't impulsive. It's a deep and enduring affection forged through hardship. That morning, sunlight streamed gently through the window into their cozy living room. Tuna sat on the sofa, holding a warm cup of tea, smiling softly when she heard Alex's mother call from the kitchen. "Nah, come taste this soup and tell me if it's right." That voice, soft as a breeze, made her heart tremble. It was no longer distant or cautious, but warm and filled with affection. She stood up, stepped into the kitchen, and saw Alex's mother stirring a steaming pot. Her eyes were gentle, her lips curved in a kind smile. "It smells so good, Mother. It's chicken soup for Henry. I know he loves this flavor." That simple sentence almost brought tears to Tuna's eyes. For the first time, she felt like she truly belonged, not as an outsider Alex brought home, but as a real part of this family. Standing by the door, Alex quietly watched the two women he loved most standing side by side. His heart swelled with emotion. After years away from his mother, he had never imagined a day when she and the woman he loved could share such warmth. He walked over, wrapped his arm around Tuna, and said proudly, "See? I told you. Once my mom gets to know you, she'll love you like her own daughter." Tuna smiled softly, resting her head on his shoulder. "I just worry I'm not good enough. You're the best thing that ever happened to me." That evening, the house glowed with golden light. Everyone gathered around the dinner table, laughter echoing through the room. Little Henry sat on his grandmother's lap, playfully tugging at her necklace. Alex's sister chatted about work, while their mother smiled, serving food for everyone. Tuna felt happiness filling every corner of her heart. She gently held Alex's hand under the table and whispered, "I feel so lucky to have met you, and to be accepted by your family." Alex squeezed her hand and looked deeply into her eyes. "No, Tuna. I'm the lucky one because in this vast world I found you, the one who made me believe that love can truly heal every wound." Later that night, after putting Henry to sleep, they sat together on the balcony. A soft breeze carried the scent of jasmine. Under the starlit sky, Tuna rested her head on Alex's shoulder, feeling a rare calm. "Do you ever wonder what our lives would be like if we hadn't met? I don't dare to imagine. Without you, I'd never know what it means to love completely." Tuna smiled as a tear slipped down her cheek, not from sadness but from joy. It was the kind of happiness she once thought she could never have. Now, with the past behind her and every door to the future open, Tuna knows her life has entered a new chapter. One where she has a loving husband, a sweet son, and a real home to return to. All the pain, loss, and loneliness of the past are now just memories. Because beside her stands a man willing to hold her hand through every storm. The man named Alex. After life gradually settled into peace, the relationship between Tuna and Alex also entered a calm, tender phase filled with trust and love. Alex's mother and sister now treated Tuna as family. They often called to chat, sometimes even sent gifts for little Henry. The small apartment where Tuna and her son once lived in solitude was now filled with laughter and the warmth of family. Yet beneath that tranquility, Alex was hiding a surprise. He had been preparing a new project, opening another branch in the business chain he had built over the years. This time, he didn't want to just manage from afar. He wanted to create an opportunity for Tuna, the woman he trusted and admired, to step into a leadership role. For weeks, Alex had been secretly making arrangements, choosing the location, signing the lease, and designing the interior. The new store would be in a quiet neighborhood near a park, a place where young families often visited. He chose olive green and ivory white as the main colors, soft yet elegant, just like Tuna's personality. On his desk lay a folder labeled, Branch Number 2, Proposed Manager Tuna. But he hadn't told her anything yet. He wanted it to be a perfect surprise. That afternoon, as the sunlight softened, Alex drove to the small apartment where Tuna lived. He had just returned from a business trip but still stopped by the market to buy her favorite dishes, sour fish soup, lotus stem shrimp salad, and a few flan puddings for Henry. He smiled to himself, imagining the way her face would light up when she saw them. When the door opened, Tuna looked surprised. "You're back already? Why didn't you tell me so I could cook something?" Alex placed the food bags on the table and smiled gently. "I wanted to surprise you. Besides, I know you like these. You have a good memory," she said, setting the table, her voice soft with affection. Just then, Henry ran out from his room, waving a drawing in his tiny hands. "Uncle Alex, look, I drew a new picture." The drawing showed 3 stick figures, Mom, me, and Uncle Alex. Alex laughed, ruffled the boy's hair, and said, "Not uncle anymore. Call me Dad." Henry blushed and giggled, leaning his head against Alex's shoulder. The tender moment made Tuna's heart swell with emotion. During dinner, Alex took care of both mother and son attentively. He served Tuna food, wiped Henry's mouth, and shared funny stories from work that made her laugh. Looking at him, Tuna felt an unfamiliar but comforting peace. The man who was once reserved and serious had become gentle and warm, as if he was meant to bring calm into their lives. When Henry was asleep, Alex and Tuna stepped out onto the balcony. The city lights shimmered below. A cool night breeze brushed past. Alex folded his arms on the railing and said thoughtfully, "Nah, if one day I asked you to take on something new, would you dare to try?" Tuna blinked in surprise. "Something new? Like what?" "A role that I believe only you can do." She chuckled. "You make it sound so serious." "I'm just someone who cooks and takes care of Henry." Alex turned to her, his eyes glowing with pride. "No, you're much more than that. You have heart, strength, and grace, things not everyone has. I want you to use those gifts to manage a new store. A place I want us to build together." Tuna was speechless. She had never imagined such a thing, that a woman who once worked as a simple shop assistant would be asked to become a manager. But when she saw the faith in Alex's eyes, her heart trembled. "You trust me that much?" "Not trust, certainty." She couldn't say another word. In that quiet moment, under the glow of the city and the soft night breeze, Tuna felt she was truly stepping into a new chapter of her life. Not just as a woman who was loved, but as someone given a chance to shine. Alex gently took her hand and said warmly, "The store will open early next month, and I want the very first sign to read, Branch Manager, Tuna." Tuna looked at him, tears streaming down her cheeks, yet her smile was radiant. She whispered, her voice trembling, "I'll do my best for you, for Henry, and for myself." Alex smiled and kissed her forehead. "I know you will. You'll do even better than I imagine." That night, lying beside her sleeping son, Tuna's heart overflowed with emotion. From a once fearful, lonely single mother, she now had love, family, and faith in the future. Outside the window, the moonlight shone softly, like a silent blessing. She smiled gently, knowing that her life had truly turned the page onto a new radiant chapter full of hope. The days leading up to the opening of the new store passed quickly, busy, yet full of excitement. Tuna immersed herself in work, tracking progress, learning about management, inventory, and staff organization. She had no idea that alongside the project, Alex was quietly preparing something far more important, a surprise that would change her life forever. Alex had been thinking deeply. He knew their love had weathered countless storms, misunderstandings, tears, and hardship. He had watched Tuna rise from pain, raise her child with strength and dignity, never once complaining or depending on anyone. That quiet resilience only made him want to protect her more. And finally, he came to a decision. He would register their marriage. He didn't tell her. He wanted to handle everything himself, to create a moment that would make her truly happy. To Alex, a marriage certificate wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a symbol of protection, a shield to guard her from gossip and judgment. When the new store opened, he wanted the world to know that Tuna was not merely an employee or an acquaintance, but his legal wife, the woman he loved, respected, and was proud of. One evening, Alex visited his mother. The house was as warm as always, golden light spilling softly across the tea table. His mother was knitting a sweater for little Henry. Seeing him walk in, she smiled. "You're home late again. Busy with the new store?" Alex sat across from her, poured some tea, and spoke in a calm, deliberate tone. "It's partly about that. But I actually wanted to talk to you about something personal." Mrs. Twee looked up, her gentle eyes showing a trace of curiosity. "Something serious?" Alex took a deep breath, then said slowly, "I want to register my marriage with Tuna." She froze for a moment, her hands pausing midair. After a while, she asked quietly, "Register before holding a wedding?" "Yes," Alex nodded. "I want her to have a rightful place beside me before we start working together. No matter what others think, I want her to be respected." There was a long silence. She knew her son. When Alex made a decision, it meant he had thought it through carefully. Still, the instinct of a mother made her hesitate. "If you're ready to marry, why not hold the ceremony? You already have Henry. There's nothing to hide." Alex smiled, his expression gentle but firm. "I've thought about that too, but it's not the right time yet. All my energy and savings are going into the new store. When I marry her, I want it to be beautiful, worthy of her. Before that, I want to build a house for her and Henry. A real home that belongs to them." Mrs. Twee slowly nodded. Her eyes softened, now filled with trust and pride. "If that's what you truly want, then I support you. Tuna is a good woman. I only hope you both live happily. That's all a mother could wish for." Alex exhaled, relief washing over him. He took her hand and thanked her sincerely. Knowing her blessing was the most important thing. That night, as he drove home, Alex stopped in front of the small apartment where Tuna and Henry lived. The living room light was still on. Through the curtain, he could see her silhouette, small and gentle, tidying up the room, occasionally bending down to tuck the blanket around Henry. He sat there for a long time, quietly watching. His heart overflowed with tenderness. He wanted to go up, hold her in his arms, and tell her everything about the marriage papers, the house he was planning, the future he dreamed of building with her. But he stopped himself. He wanted everything to be perfect before telling her. When the new store opened, when everything was stable, he would take her hand, and together they would sign that paper, ready for the long road ahead. A soft smile touched his lips as he whispered to himself, "Just a little longer, Tuna. I want everything to be strong and steady, so that when I call you my wife, I can proudly say, I'm ready for a lifetime with you." Then he started the car and drove off slowly, leaving behind the warm glow of the apartment window, where the woman he loved slept peacefully beside her son, unaware that a new beginning was waiting just beyond the dawn. The next morning, before the sun had even risen, Alex was already awake. He stood before the mirror, straightened his collar, then glanced at a small box on the table. Inside were 2 marriage registration forms. His part was already filled out. Tuna's side was still blank. His heart beat fast. Not from nervousness, but from deep emotion. Today, he would finally say everything he had been holding in for so long. He stopped by a bakery nearby, buying Tuna's favorite strawberry mousse cake, a few white baby's breath flowers, and breakfast for little Henry. As his car pulled up in front of the apartment building, the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a soft glow across his face, the gentle light of a new beginning. When Tuna opened the door, she was still in her simple pajamas, hair tied up, looking slightly surprised. "You're here so early? I haven't even made coffee yet." Alex smiled, his voice warm. "I wanted to see you early today. There's something important I need to tell you." She hesitated. There was something different in his eyes. Deeper, more sincere, as if he carried something truly significant. After settling Henry with his breakfast and cake, Alex gently took Tuna's hand and led her to the balcony. The morning sunlight fell softly on their shoulders. A cool breeze played through her hair. He took a deep breath and began, his tone both serious and tender. "Nah, I don't think I've ever told you everything I feel. Since the day I met you, my life has changed. You made me understand what it means to love someone with all my heart, to want to protect that person, no matter what." Tuna lowered her gaze, her heart pounding. Alex continued, his voice calm but filled with emotion. so honest that it made her eyes sting. I love you and I love Henry too. You two are the most precious part of my life. I want you to have a rightful place beside me. No more worries, no more whispers or judgment from others. I want the world to know that you are my woman. He reached into his bag and took out the 2 marriage forms. I know I can't give you a big wedding yet or a new house right away. All my effort is going into the new store and our future. But I promise I'll make it happen. I'll build a real home for you and Henry. Today I only ask for one thing, take this step with me. Register our marriage, will you? His voice broke slightly at the end. Tuna stood still, her eyes glistening. Every word he spoke sank deep into her heart. She remembered the lonely days raising her child alone, the nights she cried quietly, and the mornings when Alex showed up with food and a smile, little by little warming her soul. Now that same man was standing before her, not with empty promises, but with the purest truth. She covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Not from sadness but overwhelming happiness. She whispered through her tears, "Do you know? I once thought I would never have this again. A family. Thank you for believing in me, for loving me, and for loving my child." She stepped forward and hugged him tightly. Alex wrapped his arms around her, feeling the warmth of the woman he loved more than anything. They stood silently for a long while, listening only to their heartbeats and the soft wind brushing past the balcony. At last, Tuna looked up, her face glowing through her tears. "I agree. I'll register our marriage with you." Alex couldn't hold back his emotion. He lowered his head and kissed her forehead gently. His voice trembled as he said, "Thank you, Na. Promise, I'll never let you cry from loneliness again." Inside, Henry was humming a tune as he ate, his innocent laughter filling the small apartment. Outside on the sunlit balcony, 2 hearts once scarred had finally found each other, finding love, trust, and a true home. Leaning her head against his shoulder, Tuna whispered softly, her voice trembling, "Now I have everything. A man to love, a home to return to, and a future I never dared to dream of." And that morning, under the golden light of the city, true happiness began. Simple yet profound, like the love they had built together. One quiet, steadfast day at a time. After the morning they registered their marriage, Tuna still couldn't believe what had just happened. The marriage certificate rested in her trembling hands, the ink on the line, "Husband, Alex Tran," still fresh. She looked up at him, smiling through tears of joy. "So, I'm really your wife now?" Alex smiled softly, his eyes filled with pride. "Yes. From today, you and Henry are my family." He held her hand tightly, then suddenly said, "This afternoon dress up a little, okay? I want to take you somewhere." Tuna blinked in surprise but nodded, unaware that behind his words was another surprise Alex had been preparing all week. That evening, Alex drove Tuna and Henry to his mother's house. As the gate opened, Tuna froze in astonishment. The courtyard was lit with strings of lights, white and gold balloons gleaming softly, and on the dining table were all her favorite dishes. Alex's mother stepped out, a gentle smile on her face. "Welcome home, my daughter-in-law." Just 3 simple words, but they hit Tuna like a wave of emotion. She was speechless, her eyes filling with tears. The older woman came closer, took her hand gently, and said, "From now on, you're not a guest. This is your home. I hope you and Henry see this place as your own." Then Alex's sister approached, embracing her tightly. "Congratulations. From now on, I have a little sister-in-law, and Henry, you have another aunt." Henry grinned, wrapping his tiny arms around her neck. "So now I have 2 aunts?" Laughter filled the air, warm and bright like a holiday gathering. Dinner was full of joy and laughter. Alex opened a bottle of red wine, poured for everyone, and stood up, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you, sis, for always believing in me. Today I want to officially introduce my family, my wife, Tuna, and our son, Henry." Applause and smiles surrounded them. Tuna bowed her head slightly, her voice trembling. "Thank you, Mother. Thank you, sister, for welcoming me. I promise I'll love and take care of Alex and this family with all my heart." Mrs. Twee smiled and raised her glass. "As long as you're sincere, that's all we need. This family has been waiting for this day for a long time." After dinner, everyone gathered around the table, chatting and laughing. Henry ran around the living room, giggling as he played with his grandmother's little dog, his laughter echoing throughout the house. Tuna sat beside Alex, resting her head on his shoulder, her heart overflowing with happiness. She thought of the lonely nights she had once endured, the tears she hid from her child. Now everything felt like a dream that had come true. Alex squeezed her hand gently and whispered, "I told you I'd give you a real family. And now we have one, don't we?" Tuna nodded, her eyes glistening. "Yes, our family." That night, under the golden glow of the house, laughter still lingered in the air. Mrs. Twee looked at her son and daughter-in-law, her smile peaceful and proud. Henry fell asleep in Alex's sister's arms, still smiling even in his dreams. Meanwhile, Alex and Tuna sat together on the porch, gazing up at the starlit sky. No fancy vows, no lavish wedding. Just a warm meal, loving arms, and the acceptance of family. And that, to them, was the truest form of happiness. Softly, Tuna whispered, her voice trembling but full of gratitude, "I once thought my life would be nothing but storms. But after the rain there's still light. And that light is you." Alex smiled, tightening his hand around hers. That night they truly became a family, simple, warm, and complete.
Hello mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Và câu chuyện hôm nay của mình mang đến cho mọi người là câu chuyện về người mẹ đơn thân lý Tuna. Và sau những biến cố và khó khăn thì cuối cùng Alex cũng đưa ra một quyết định, đó là cùng Tuna đi đăng ký giấy kết hôn. Mặc dù Alex chưa thể cho Tuna một đám cưới hoàn hảo, nhưng anh mong muốn rằng sẽ cho Tuna một danh phận, và Tuna cũng đã rất hạnh phúc vì điều đó. Và bữa tiệc nhỏ cùng gia đình Alex khiến Tuna hạnh phúc vô bờ bến. Liệu rằng tình yêu phía trước của mọi người, của Alex và Tuna sẽ trải qua những biến cố nào, hay hai người sẽ có cuộc sống bình yên bên nhau, thì mời mọi người đón xem ở video tiếp theo nha. Ở những video mới này thì mình sẽ phát hành vào khung giờ 7 giờ sáng tại Việt Nam, và mọi người nhớ chú ý đón xem nha. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người.